Fall camp has come and gone. College football is back for the FIU Panthers. Thursday nights, FIU Stadium on ESPN3. It's Long Island and FIU, and we are certainly excited to start the 2021 campaign. Butch Davis, AJ Ricketts, ready to get going for another season. Coach, it's been another fall camp. We're ready to go. How would you evaluate where the team is right now? We're ready to get going here.
Well, you know, AJ, obviously the one thing about this is it actually really truly was a training camp.
It was a real thing.
Yeah, like the previous
Spring,
year.
Summer, fall.
Oh, absolutely. Off-season, spring practices, but it was really good, okay? New coaching staffs, new schemes, offense, defense, and special teams. The kids really bought into that. I think they did a great job of learning what they're supposed to do, and I think the competition was really good. And then the really good thing is we made it through the entire training camp with no injuries,
Sure did, yeah.
which is critically important for the success of any football program. So kids are excited, looking forward to the start of the season, and very ready to get ready to play.
We're able to talk a little more specifically on what we might see Thursday night. You were speaking with the Miami Herald last week about who your starting quarterback will be. You named Max Bordenschlager the starter heading into Long Island. Last season, 22 completions, 2 touchdowns. Of course, he transferred in from Maryland last year, and for any quarterback transferring into a new program in the COVID year, that made things more difficult. So
especially when you don't have any off-season conditioning, any spring practices,
really
any training camp. Yeah. It's kind of hard to learn a whole new system and
so
stuff.
After a normal year for Max to learn the system, how have you seen him develop from year 1 to year 2?
A lot more confidence. I mean, obviously a year ago, obviously going into those games, he, Kalen Wiggins, Norton Stone, who was on the team at that time, none of them, they were brand new quarterbacks, none of them felt a lot of confidence about anything. They had no scrimmages, they had no preseason games, they'd never played previously before, so it was very difficult for them. The difference this year is that even though it's a new offensive scheme, they feel much better about themselves. They've had off season, they've had chances to work in the spring practice, they met with the coaches, and so they know all of that kind of stuff, but they still got to play. I mean, the one thing about every football team, and you've heard me say this before, whether it's Pop Warner, middle school, high school, it doesn't make any difference. The success of a football program is circled around the performance of a quarterback. And obviously, new, young, experienced guys, they're going to get in, they're going to play, they're going to make some mistakes. I mean, that's inevitable, but they'll grow from it, they'll learn from it, and they'll get better every single week.
We talked about every position group last week, essentially, but the time constraints kicked one of them out, I think, and got to give some love to our offensive line.
Absolutely.
And I'm really intrigued by that position group this year. Coach, with all the turnover they had heading into last year, still exceptional in the running game.
Yeah.
What will it take for the group to get back to the kind of pass protection numbers that we saw in 2017 and 2018 when they're about tops in the country in sacks allowed? How can they take that step in development?
Yeah, and obviously, if there's any group on the entire, maybe with the exception of the secondary on defense, that has to work as a group, the offensive line, they've got to all be on the same page. They got to communicate. When they go to the line of scrimmage, the quarterback and the center, they're looking at the front, they're looking at the linebackers. What's the protection going to look like? It's not about the physicality of it, it's about the mentality of knowing exactly who do I have, if they blitz, who am I supposed to pick up, who does the running back have? And obviously, so you need those guys to get chances to practice together so that they can communicate. So I can sit there, you're the center, I'm the guard, and we can talk about it, and I can talk to the tackle. And in the perfect world, you'd like to go into a season and you'd like to say, you know what, we've got 7, 8, 9 guys. They can all go in and they can play. You got your starting 5 guys, then you've got 3 or 4 guys that are backups that can rotate. Maybe the left backup tackle could play on the right side, the inside guards and the centers and those guys, because you got to have fresh guys in the game, guys that can continue to push and give you depth in the offensive line. You do it at wide receiver, you do it at running back, why not do it in the offensive line? And but I'm very excited about this. We've added some new players to it. Oppie Maine, who was a starter at the University of Kansas for the Jayhawks for a couple of years, he came here as a starting center. I mean, he has done a great job. Tough, physical, smart. He brings, starting in the Big 12 games and stuff. Ray Bryant, that's coming from Houston Baptist, and he was a starter last year for them. Very athletic, big, physical guy, very smart. So those 2 guys have added immediately to the depth of the guys that are on the team. So I'm very excited about these guys going to play. Obviously the running backs, and the quarterbacks, they really require those guys with the addition of obviously the tight ends. Those guys become a big part of the running game. Sterling Palmer and a lot of those guys, they've been here for a couple of years. They're going to be very good.
Yeah, on the line, a nice mix of veterans like Lindell Hudson, the big bruising offensive lineman, and then a freshman as well as Miles Frazier, who's done a good job throughout this training camp.
Dante Keys, who last year started for us at tackle. Now we've been able to move him to the inside, and he's a big physical guy, 6'5", 225 pounds. So he's going to be somebody that we're really glad to have.
We love to talk about that depth and rotation along the offensive and defensive lines, ideally having 9, 10, 11 players. I was looking at the depth of your linebacking core, and there's some good numbers there as well, whether it's Jamal Gates, Daniel Jackson, Eric Mitchell coming into the program from UCF. I've seen Rocky Jocks Louis having a really nice camp. You've got some nice depth to rotate in at the linebacking spot.
Guys that have played a lot of football for us over the last couple of years, and one of the things you never know, and even with Long Island, we can look at the 4 games that they played last spring, but that doesn't guarantee. I mean, the first couple of possessions, they'll expose who they are and what they want to do. But you never know, are we going to be playing 3 linebackers? Are we going to be playing 2 linebackers and a nickel player, or a hybrid type of a player that's kind of a guy that could be a linebacker, he could be a strong safety type of a player. So, those guys, and we've got some good talented players, anxious to watch them play.
We'll preview Thursday night when we return our FIU trivia heading into the break. There's one staff member that has plenty of experience with Long Island football, in fact. Who would that be? Which staff member played tight end for the Long Island Sharks throughout his collegiate career? Think about that one. Intriguing. When we return here on FIU Panther Talk.
Hello, I'm the Good Greek Spiro, and I have some very exciting news. Good Greek Moving and Storage is launching our Welcome Home program. Book your next move with Good Greek and you will receive our housewarming package, which includes gift cards valued at over $1,000, along with a neighborhood guide as you discover your new favorite local businesses. For the best move ever and to receive your exclusive gift offer, visit goodgreek.com and welcome home.
Greek Moving and Storage, your superhero movers.
Price breaks on through. One play, touchdown. Over the seam, it's picked up. Rashard Dames.
It's the second 100-yard return of the season for FIU.
Sean Peterson, virtually untouched.
The Panthers up 7-0.
We're back to FIU Panther Talk. Our trivia question: which staff member played tight ends for Long Island in his collegiate career? That'd be the new running backs coach, Sean Binks, who's actually second all-time in Long Island history in receptions. Also a stud in the classroom, too, 3.5 all-academic team. And Coach, you just elevated him to the running backs coach position, was a GA. That opportunity opened up, and he's got quite a running back room to work with, and maybe a little bit of knowledge on Long Island, too.
Several things. Obviously, AJ, that made the decision. One, he'd been here before. Right. He was very, very similar. He knew the players. That was very, very important to me. His relationship with Devontae Price and Sean Peterson and those guys. And he had coached on offense. He knew the offensive players and stuff. He got a chance to go through the offseason, the spring practices and stuff, and they had a lot of respect for him. And to me, obviously, the single best, most important thing for any coach is, do the players trust you? Do they believe that you're going to help them become the best player they can? And the players really believed in him. So we're really glad to have him as the running back coach.
Yeah, it seems like the players really gravitate to him, and we're certainly looking forward to a nice year once more out of the running backs. If it's anything like last year, they'll be set heading into this season. Let's talk Thursday night. Long Island. A little bit of upheaval in the summer. Their longtime coach, Brian Collins, resigning after 23 years of the program. Had plenty of success there. So his lieutenant, Jonathan Gill, who's been with them the last 16 seasons, he takes over. Coach, only a 4-game season for them last year in the spring schedule. They were 0-10 in their first year in the FCS in 2019, but trying to grow and develop as a program. What have you seen on film of Long Island?
Well, that's one of the things, AJ, that I said earlier. You never really know week one, regardless of whether somebody changes their coaching staff. But now that they've changed an offensive, the new head coach, how much of an impact is he going to have in all phases? Is he going to put a little bit of an emphasis on maybe a change defensively, offensively? Are there things that he wanted to do that maybe he couldn't do because the previous head coach? And then special teams. So obviously that's a big part. If you go back and you look at the 4 games last year, one of the things, obviously, they were a predominantly kind of a 11 personnel offense, which is 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a running back. A lot of runs. The quarterbacks were very athletic, a lot of play action passes, which a lot of people call RPOs. It's either run or based on whether it's a front and stuff, are they going to throw the ball. They had some explosive players on the outside, guys that could give them big plays and stuff. So, that's the format that you look at. Is that what we're going to see on Thursday night? You don't have any idea, but you can only practice against that. Then from the defensive perspective, they were a team that played kind of a 4-3 nickel and their corners and stuff, and a lot of times they would bring some pressure. So our quarterbacks have got to be ready to be prepared for any kind of pressure that they may want to try to bring, whether they're going to blitz because of the run, they want to blitz because of young, inexperienced quarterbacks that are now playing as a defense. Are they going to bring people like that? And then special teams, that was one of the areas, even though I think they won 2 games and they lost 2 games last year, they were really good on punt return and kickoff return. They got some guys that are really good returners. So we got to play well on special teams as well.
Skill position player to perhaps look out for, running back Jonathan DeBeek in the 4-game season last year, 360 yards, 6 yards per carry. So perhaps a good early opportunity for Deke Adams' unit along the defensive line and Everett Withers' unit on the defense to try to stop a back that has some skill.
Well, if you look at everybody, last week's games, Nebraska versus Illinois and Hawaii versus UCLA, I mean, one of the things that I've always felt all my coaching career, week 1, you want to be as fundamentally sound as you humanly possibly can. All the little bitty things. You don't want to be creative and gadgetry and stuff like that, but you want to be hustle on defense, flying around, gap responsibility. Offensively, you want to do great execution and stuff. You want to protect the football and you want to play good on special teams, and that's the way you want to kind of put as a starting point for the first game.
All right, Butch, last thing here as we finish off Thursday night. You're in the locker room, ready to head out of the tunnel to FIU Stadium. What do you imagine? What do you think you'll emphasize to the group and let them know as we start what hopefully is a normal season once more?
Pretty much what we just talked about go out and everybody, you do your job. You're giving great effort, you execute, and be alert and on the sidelines. I mean, whether this is week 1 or it's week 12, it doesn't make any difference. During the course, you don't quit coaching until there's no zeros on the score and you've won the game. You coach, the coaches are going to coach the entire game, every possession, because we may see new stuff and you may have to change some of the things and tweak things every single possession going into the locker room.
Well, Coach, it's been a fun build-up to the season. We have made it to opening kickoff. Appreciate the time.
Looking
forward to it. As they say, it's cliche, but I'm sure the guys are looking forward to hitting somebody else now.
No kidding.
We are set for opening kickoff, 7 p.m. Eastern, ESPN 3 Thursday night. We'll see you on the broadcast. Thanks for joining us in our pregame special. Looking forward to Long Island Thursday night. For Butch, I'm AJ. We'll see you next time.